new concept.
Absolutely, and it's something that, you know, the world is absolutely ready for. People, really, the number one place that you get your news these days is online, and so it's taken the lead. We call ourselves an information station because we really have TV background, radio as well, too. And so we take those skills that we learned from our 15 years in television, and we have basically just moved them right over onto the internet. So we still do the same. We still do news reports. The only difference is that you can get it anywhere.
Yeah.
So if we shoot something in Lincoln City, everybody in Salem can see it. Everybody on the East Coast can see it. And so it really removes all those limitations of getting the word out these days.
Makes the world a lot smaller.
It really does. It really does. Makes us all speed up to try to catch up to each other, too.
Absolutely. And of course, you both have ties here to Lincoln City.
Yeah, Tim and I, a few people might remember us, started out at TV 10, actually, in 1988, I think. And then we worked there for a couple of years. We worked also for KBCH and KCRF. And then went independent as producers, video producers, and then moved on, went to work for NBC. We've worked for several different TV stations, and now after 10 years or so of being out of state, we moved back to Oregon a few years ago, and SalemNews.com was kind of a creation, one of those, you know, the mother of invention, right, is necessity, because Tim at the time was working for Channel 2 in Portland, and he was covering Marion County, the whole Salem area. And luckily, now and then, would also get to do coast stories, but still, he's given 4 minutes a day to cover more than 250,000 people. And so there was a lot of overflow. And so in brainstorming, we're like, well, that would be nice to have somewhere for it to go. And so we started this site just as an overrun, kind of, and with the blessing of KATU. And then within just a couple of months, we had hundreds of people coming. So then we knew, okay, this is something that is filling a niche for the community.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And I know that Tim has recently come back from Afghanistan.
That's true. He went over to Afghanistan in November and was there for 2 months. And he reported for us for SalemNews.com, so people can see all of his reports there, but also for Fox 12 in Portland. And so they did, and a lot of folks saw these reports because they were doing 3 or so a week, straight from Afghanistan. And then after he returned, they did a couple of half-hour specials on his trip. So it's he's got a lot of stories.
Yes, he does. Absolutely. So obviously a lot of background, a lot of credentials coming together to bring this online-only newspaper up and running. And of course, based out of Salem, but you cover all over.
Yes, we absolutely do. It's nice to be based in the capital city because it, like a lot of other towns in Oregon, have really been overlooked by the large media groups, the Portland media. And so they are getting attention now that they've never had before. So not only are we based in a really good place, you know, geographically, but our staff members, Tim's a veteran, our news director is a veteran, so we bring a lot of real life experience on board. And in fact, we have a brand new website that we started that's pure military news called frontline-news.com, which is more of a national site, of course, because it's military in nature, but it too is filling a niche for society because there is no place that you can go and get stories about all the different facets of the military, whether it be Afghanistan or Iraq if you're in the National Guard. No matter what you're in, those are the stories that we bring together on that site. So it's a little different. It's not local news, but we certainly cover a lot of people that are doing important things from our area.
And a lot of people, I mean, you know, as we know here, having lost Michael Vaughn, you know, that military news touches everybody. Yeah. Touches absolutely everybody. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will be back in just a minute with Bonnie King with SalemNews.com. Here with Mary Larkin.
Good morning.
And Bonnie King with SalemNews.com.
Hello again.
And not on the mic, but filming us right now is Tim King with SalemNews.com.
Yes.
And Tim was talking about actually putting this up on the site later, so if anybody wants to, well, please don't go there. No, I'm just kidding.
You see what Allison looks like when she's really doing chamber chat. No, it's all good. It's good. It's good.
But if you want to go take a look at it and check out the site later, the website is www.salem news.com. So SALEM dash
News.
NEWS.com. I got stuck in the dash.
Just don't forget
Yeah.
the dash, or
Yeah.
you'll end up in Massachusetts, and you'll notice because there's a little witch on the. We don't have witches in our header.
Well, good to know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, great site. Check it out. And of course, one of the benefits of stories on SalemNews.com, you guys get a really high Google hit rate, don't you?
We do. Google picked us up about a year ago as one of their 4,500 news sites that they basically check out. I think they come to us 17 times an hour, so they're constantly coming through to see what new news stories that we have. So we have right now, and this is incredible to us because we know that people are paying attention and they're following the news, but we have an average of over 10,000 people, unique visitors every day that are coming. So that's almost 6 million hits a month right now that we're at. So Google has definitely enhanced our viewership. Our viewership, visitorship, readership, it's all the same for us. But so people can, a neat thing about being online versus other mediums too is that for us, all of our archives are forever archived. We don't have subscribers, so people don't have to pay to pull up a story that they've already read or that they heard about from 2 months ago. They can go on our site and find it. Also, what's kind of neat and interactive is that we have an ongoing comment section. So every single story you pull up, if there was a story about Lincoln City's urban growth or something, people could go on there and write their own comments about it. And those don't go away either. So in a case like, for instance, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, it's all these months ago that happened. And yet we still, every couple of days, we get more and more comments, and they're from all over the world, which is really nice because, like you said, we're on such a more even playing field these days that, everybody can come and see what's going on in Oregon, can come see what's going on in Lincoln City.
Absolutely. And of course, you're chamber members, obviously, because you're on
Absolutely.
this show.
Yes.
And when we did Super Auction back in January, you had a story about us. We had an ad on the SalemNews.com website, and that really helped drive people to Super Auction, but in particular our webcast, which we had done for the first time this year, and that linked people. And we started to experience some of that also. We were watching the webcast as we're doing Super Auction, and there's just hits from all over the country. It was kind of amazing. I think we were entertaining people at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday.
Well, it's nice if they all want to be a part of the community.
Absolutely. But we got our first out-of-state bidders because of that, who were calling in from out of state. Obviously, they weren't able to watch it before. It really was a whole new experience for us out here in at the Lincoln City Chamber of Commerce for Super Auction, and really expanding that out. And it was a lot of fun. And it's amazing how that little extra coverage will really help enhance what you're trying to do.
Well, trying to keep up, a lot of people are, I don't do this. Well, there's hardly any businesses anymore that don't have a web presence. And so, whereas we used to use the Yellow Pages for directories and stuff, those are still valid, but isn't it nice to just be able to pull up information and have a complete website to really tell you about somebody's business instead of, just a phone number?
Yeah, you get a lot of web-savvy people who, when they're searching for something and looking through links, if there's not a web link there,
they're disappointed.
They skip over it.
Yeah.
They'll go to the one with the web link because they can,
Yeah.
exactly, because they can see everything they want to know. I mean, a lot of restaurants even now, if you're coming out to Lincoln City, for example, and you can browse through 6 different restaurants and see what the menus are. You can decide what you want ahead of time. You can see how much it's going to cost, and make your decision that way. It's really interesting. Of course, in the big cities, this has been going on for a long time, and I know I've done that myself. Try to figure out where we want to go. Okay, it's. Here we're only 7.5 miles, so it's not that hard to drive around.
That's true, but it's nice to know what's on the menu anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it really does. It brings us all more closely in touch with each other. And it's important to have our personal relationships still, to try to keep in touch, and not make it all electronic. But it's so much faster and more efficient to be able to do this, and we save trees. You know,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
something that we shouldn't underrate. That it really does make a difference.
Absolutely, it does. And, you know, Lincoln City is working towards becoming a sustainability city, and we've got this Blue Sky initiative going on right now. The mayor and the chamber and Pacific Power have all partnered together and have been encouraging folks to sign up for the Blue Sky Renewable Energy Program. For the chamber, any chamber business that signs up for that, here in Lincoln City, we get $10 donated towards our Chamber School Resource Program from 3 Phases, which is the company that works with Pacific Power. So that's there's really a huge push for that here. So that being able to save those trees from not, you know, with paper is a great thing. Of course, we do not negate the need for our local newspapers, who we love.
Absolutely. And there will always be the need for those. We cannot let that staple, you know, be at all underrated. It's totally important to us.
Absolutely.
And it's the fabric of America. I mean, it's our history, it's our traditions, and it encourages reading, which we like to talk about too. Online, you know, we are encouraging students to read. We like to encourage schools to use us as their homepage, which they do. In Salem, we have a couple of schools that use us for a lot of resources for curriculum. And they do the same thing with newspapers. So it's very similar, you know.
Yep,
and
Newspapers in Education
Yeah.
is a great program.
absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So our project is online in education, so it's very similar.
Wonderful.
And in newspapers, it's to increase readership in a lot of different ways. You know, with us, it's to increase, you know, basically information, education, so that we can bring more kids into the reality of their community and their world by being news hounds. We want them all to be news hounds.
Absolutely. You know, the more educated an individual is, the more they know about what's going on in the world, the better they are to make their own decisions about different things and form their own opinions. And you know, it's something that obviously, with a journalism background myself, I've always been very passionate about. Of course, I come from a newspaper background, so, you know, I've got that love for newspapers. And, you know, if my husband didn't get his newspaper every day, he would...
It's sort of an addiction, isn't it?
There is, and there's something about the tactile experience of reading a newspaper also. But it's so nice to be able to, you know, obviously our local newspapers are wonderful because they are local,
Right.
and they focus purely on what's going on in our communities.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons that I think they will continue to thrive, despite the technology advances
Yeah.
and things like that. But when it comes to what's going on outside your community, which is also important, it's nice to be able to go to an online resource.
And you have instant access.
Yeah.
You know, you get the answer as fast as it's available to you.
And free.
Yes, exactly.
So.
And you don't get your fingers dirty.
Depends
That's
on your
true.
keyboard.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So, but great times here in Lincoln City. Sorry, we did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's always fun in Lincoln City.
Absolutely.
That's not a question.
So, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back in just a minute with SalemNews.com. And of course, Bonnie King with SalemNews.com. Good morning, Bonnie.
Hey, so glad to be here.
Yeah, and Tim King, who I've been mentioning, who is filming us right now to put this up later on the website, SalemNews.com. That's www.salem-news.com.
Yeah,
The
don't
hyphen
forget the
being a
dash.
symbol, don't spell it out.
That's right.
So, and a great site. We've been talking a little bit about different types of coverage opportunities and things. Talk a little bit more about Lincoln City and what you cover here in Lincoln City.
Well, Lincoln City, you know, we consider as just really, it's so close to us and it's so close to our hearts. It's terribly important for us to make sure that it's covered. We have an events calendar that's on the site, and again, we get over 10,000 people a day, so it's a really great opportunity if businesses here would like to email us their events that are going on. It's no charge. We'll just put it right on the calendar and try to get people to move themselves right over the hill. Come on over for the big events that are going on.
You've got a lot of people scrambling for pens right now. How do they email you?
So to email us, the easiest way is newsroom@salem-news.com. So that's just simple, just right on their calendar, and
Right.
it'll go right to our community editor actually. And so
Of course,
that's
your contact information is on the chamber website too,
Yes, it
under
is.
news agency. So
and if you go to salem-news.com, there's a couple of different real easy ways to email us directly from there too.
Great.
So people can get a hold of us. If you have something big going on at your store, if you have a grand opening, if you have some really big change of events or something like that, send us a press release. and you can just email that to us, and we'll try to get that into business news. And photographs, we're always looking for photographs. If you guys, everybody's got a digital camera these days. Email us some of your pictures, whether it be, some beautiful child on the beach running in, or maybe it's a car accident, whatever. You send us something, you'll get attributed for it. And it's a nice way to put your pictures to good use, too. So not only do we have, these things, press releases, you can get your events on the calendar, but we've got a lot of really easy to work with advertising programs too. So if you want to get on our site, get your logo on there, get a link to your own website, or maybe a special offer that you want to make sure everybody knows, it's real easy. Get a hold of us and we'll put together an advertising program that works really well specifically for your business. So they're not rubber stamped. We really do try to work things out so that you're getting the target market that you're looking for. We have several different sections on our website, of course. We have our main news page, but we also have sports, weather, like you would expect. Mm-hmm. People can sponsor the calendar itself. And then we have this section that you're familiar with called Your Towns. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a favorite of ours because Lincoln City has its own map. So you can actually be put on the map so that people can click on your dot and have it open up to a full ad with a link to your website, etc. So it's very interactive and it's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great way to put yourself on the maps.
Yeah, put yourself on the map. That's right.
Quite literally.
How many employees do you have?
We have about 5. We've got 3 full-time people, and then we have several people that work part-time for us. So like our community editor is part-time, and several other contributors are part-time. But we just work all the time. It's a 7-day-a-week job, and so luckily we don't have to print a product because, we literally wouldn't have those 4 hours for sleep.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, and journalists, it's a good thing journalists are very dedicated to their craft.
Well, it is a passion and addiction. It's something like that. You can't let it go.
Absolutely. So,
yeah. And we really, we have Roger Robertson started Tim out here at TV10 as an anchor and sales manager, and then I came in soon after and kind of took a couple of different roles, but I was on air too, and so Roger's very close to our heart because he really gave us a little springboard to go from and opportunity to learn so much.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So even
Roger's good for that.
Yeah, well, Lincoln City, some people might think, well, where'd you get your start? Where'd you go to school? Well, we did go to school places, of course, but this is where we got our start. Mm-hmm. And so it's just a good example, I think, of how people can be really progressive and thinking outside the box regardless of where they're from or what their population or what the expectations are of where they live.
Absolutely.
This was a great place for us to be.
Absolutely. And of course Salem is a huge draw area for us out here in Lincoln City with as our tourism base. We get a lot of folks out here, so it's always nice to let them know what's going on. And of course our Visitor and Convention Bureau does a great job of doing that kind of stuff. But the more, there's no such thing as getting your name out there too much.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And we try to fulfill that as much as we can. So the more information that we get in, the more that we can relate to the public.
Great. So the Lincoln City community page, how developed is that at this point?
It still has a way to go, but it's up, it's a live page, so it's got some background on Lincoln City itself, how many rooms there are, the history of Lincoln City. But we're always looking for more information and things that people ask us, well, what about this or that? That really helps us because then we know if we're not filling a need, we can answer that question. So I would encourage people to go to the Lincoln City page on the Our Town section of salem-news.com and then let us know what you think, whether or not, if you'd like to be a part of it, terrific, but if you have something that you would like to incorporate in that page that you think we're missing, let us know, because we want to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, it's nice to have our own little site on another little site.
Yes,
so,
a site on our site.
Absolutely. So, and then the online newspaper. Tell us a little bit more about how more flexible you can be with, obviously, a printed product, there's a delay.
Right.
Online, how fast does it go up?
Well, as soon as we get it, it goes up, basically. It's like it can be just within minutes. And so rather than saying, like we would have, back in our newspaper, my newspaper days, it's like, oh, what do we do with this? We don't want to break this because somebody else is going to grab it. You have all these things that you have to consider, not in online. We look at it and go, we've got it, so you've got it. And so we work directly with all the emergency personnel and Salem and all the outlying areas. So, we get all kinds of information from them. Of course, they're all on our beat checklist, like a typical newsroom. But really, they've been great about getting us information and photographs. They've really improved on the pictures level because there was a reason now to take pictures. They're going to be out there. So, we can distribute it as fast as we get it, which we think is really serving the community much more appropriately as a news organization.
Absolutely. It's nice to know that there is a resource too. Sometimes you miss deadlines and things, and then, it can be a while before you get your information out there. It's nice to be able to have an opportunity to get things out very quickly, within a couple hours even, for something that's going on, especially if you need to get alerts out and things like that.
We do Amber Alerts. We're starting a new missing persons section, in fact, in just the next week or so. So we're trying to continually add things to the mix that are going to serve the community even better. So we're always looking for feedback, too.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, Bonnie. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you
and
for
Tim as
having
well.
us. Thanks for having us both.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you want to check out that site, it's www.salem-news.com.
Yeah, we can't wait to see all you coming by.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.